My name is Nelda Schleiman. I oversee the ministry. My husband is John. He joins me, and for us, it is a joy for us to do this, and it's the highlight of our week. I've been doing this for about 20 years, and we have nursing home ministry team members that have been doing it 25 to 30 years. And God is the one who keeps the call to do this ministry fresh in our hearts.
Well, Howard Bundy had asked me to come over to Clayton House at the time, back in the early 90s. It's since become Town and Country, and NHC bought it on a national chain. But he asked me to come over and lead a team. And I was sober for a few years, didn't really know what kind of ministry I was going to be in. And actually the first response to him was no, which was very selfish on my part. And as time went by and the Lord honestly started convicting me that I needed to go and do this. One Saturday morning on the way to work, I just had to pull off the road and just surrender and say yes. People there are so beautiful. Some are lonely, some don't even know what day it is or where they're at. But when Sunday rolls around and they see us come in, they just light up. And it's wonderful to be able to minister to them and to be their friend and to love them. And that's what God wants us to do.
It's extremely pleasing. I get to play the old hymns. John Schleiman asked me to help out at the fountains where they have a hymn sing on Thursdays. One of the residents there always brought his harmonica to the hymn sing, and so John thought it'd be a good idea to have somebody else play along with him. So I started out playing with him and found out that I really enjoyed playing those old songs that I learned growing up in church, and it's a lot of fun. The residents seem to enjoy it, and so I enjoy playing those hymns.
Well, I was really astounded when Nelda asked Nona and I to be participants at the fountains. We had never been in ministry before, and when we went out there, we were really astounded to see how those people received us. All we did was give out a song sheet, and those people were so appreciative. They would thank us. And what I would do, I would try to remember when they introduce themselves, remember their first name. And the next week when you come there and we talk to them and call them by their first name, it really makes a difference. You can see their eyes radiate. And whenever we were there, they said, "Boy, we really are glad you were here and helping us out." I said, "Well, we don't feel like we're doing anything." They said, "You're doing great." And then when we went to Westchester, Nona doesn't do it anymore. And I went out there, and those people out there are just the same. When I talk to them, just showing up, you can see the light in their eyes. And then when we get the song books out, there's one lady out there, she really thrills me. She knows every song in that book, and she doesn't have to use the book. And then all we do is turn the pages for them. But whenever she sings, it just thrills me just to watch her, just praising the Lord. And then on top of all that, the best thing that I get is another sermon from Benson. And that is the highlight of the day. But those people, they really appreciate it, and they don't know how much that they thrill my heart. I'm really glad to be in his ministry.
It's an opportunity for me to make the love of Christ known to the people. Also, it says in Leviticus 19:32 that we should honor the elderly and show them respect.
It's something I really enjoy doing. I feel like when I look at these people that I'm ministering to, I feel like they could be my mom or dad someday. It could be me someday. And so I think it's really important to value the older generation. And I just love singing. I feel like God has given me that gift and that talent. So, and when they asked me to do it, I thought it was a great fit for what I like to do. And probably the most important thing is I love singing hymns, and so we get to sing hymns every time I go. So I get to pick them out, and I really enjoy that a lot.
It means quite a bit. I've done this for many decades, off and on, mainly off, but the people are so welcoming. It's very little preparation. I enjoy the evangelistic hymns, and I especially enjoy reaching people who are just burdened by Alzheimer's. The music gets through to them, and before you know it, they're singing Alleluias. It's a real ministry. It's a calling for me to help the Lord that way.
Initially, I was hesitant to take this responsibility. One morning during my quiet time, God led me to the verse from 1 Timothy 4:14, "Do not neglect the gift that has been given to you." So that's when we started ministering at the nursing home during Sunday mornings.
Excellent. And what do you do at the nursing home?
I minister the word, and also myself, along with my husband and kids, we do the singing.
The nursing home ministry opened up my heart a lot bigger to the love of God. I had been a teacher for many years of young children, both in my profession and in Sunday school teaching, and I thought I could never go into nursing homes. But one day when Nelda asked if anyone was interested, I thought, no, not me. And on the way home, my husband said to me, "Did you feel a nudge from God when Nelda?" And hear and talk and listen with the precious souls that lived in Garden View. That's where I ministered. I played a little piano, and I gave a little message once in a while, but now I'm a permanent sub till I get to the finish line.
Hi, church family. It's good to talk to you and tell you why I do what I do every Sunday morning. It's because it ministers to me, and it's like I feel like I don't have to do it, but I get to do it. It is such a blessing for me to be there and minister to these people. And you may say, well, I can't play the piano. Well, some can and some can't. That's okay. You might say, well, I can't sing. Some can and some can't. That's okay too. Or I can't speak. Some can and some can't. But you know what? You've got a smile, you've got a handshake, you've got a hug, and you can help turn the pages of the music books when we sing the hymns. You can help the people that can't turn the pages. So there is something that you can do. But you ask me, why do I do it? It is such a blessing for me to be able to go every Sunday morning and minister to those beautiful people every Sunday morning. And if I don't get to go because we're out of town, I just miss it so much. And it's so good to get back with my nursing home family. So one of these days, I'll get back with my church family too. So thank you so much. Love you all.
Let me start with who I am and what I do there. Okay, I was going to say, I want to reverse this order. I'm Lloyd Sloan, and I volunteer at Brooking Park Retirement Home, and I lead the hymn singing there. And people do ask me all the time, why do you do this? And they generally will say when they find out, oh, this is really great, you're so unselfish. It's really not as unselfish as you think. I truly get more out of doing this than the people who are there. I love to sing, so that part's fun. I love the old hymns. There's all that. And sometimes when you're leading that hymn singing, you look out in that audience, that crowd, and there are tears in their eyes because the hymn has that kind of power. It's an old hymn. They're probably remembering where they first heard it and who they heard it with. And it's very emotional for me. I get fully rewarded when I go to that nursing home. So it's actually not what people think. It's not a selfish thing to do. It's not an unselfish thing to do. It's actually a very rewarding thing. And I bet you're going to hear that from everybody else who's on this video. You're going to hear that above everything else. How did I get into this? I want to tell you that too. So I have a few stories here I'd like to tell. And I'll be the most long-winded.
You're fine.
I was at a Bible study class at my cousin's, and we were going to do some volunteer work. We decided, well, as a group, we need to do volunteer work. Somebody said, well, they do have a Habitat for Humanity, and they build homes for the elderly, and so that's one thing we could do. And most people were signing up for that. And then a friend of mine, Leonard, who was also in the same Bible study class, said, well, he volunteers at the retirement home. Would you like to do that? Now, I realized if I were poor, I would not want to live in a house that I had built. So maybe I should try the retirement home instead. And that's what I did. And they said, can you sing? I said, yes, I can sing, I suppose. I could do that. And I was immediately put in charge of leading the hymn singing. So that was the genesis. I would tell people to try it. That's what I would tell most people. It may not be for you, but you may surprise yourself too. I'm not a house builder. I can't volunteer my time that way. We all feel like we have to give something back at different points in our lives. And you try the retirement home and it will be rewarding. I will give you one more example and then I'm done. But when I first started there, my daughter would join me. She would go with me as well. She was always impatient to get out of there. One week, so this elderly woman came to me and she wanted help with an email. She couldn't connect to get the emails from her son. And of course, I want to rush out of there because I'm with my daughter, but I told her, no, let me help you. Let me help this woman, okay? And she told me her name was Epps, E-P-P-E-S. I happen to be a Jefferson scholar. I love Thomas Jefferson. And I said to this woman, did you know that Epps was the married name of Jefferson's daughter? She said, yes, that's my family. So I'm sitting here helping a descendant of Thomas Jefferson with her email. I knew that God works in mysterious ways and that He will reward an unselfish act and a kindness once in a while. I think my daughter learned the same lesson. She was equally impressed that we were helping a descendant of Jefferson, and I will end with that.
Well, I had 3 grandparents that I loved very much, very close to for the first 30 years of my life. And they're now deceased. And so I'm reminded of that every time I go into Westchester House, which is the nursing home that I'm a part of. I preach a sermon maybe on average about once a month there. And it's a joyous experience because most of the folks are with it. They listen to what I say. I try to revolve the sermons around holidays and things of the past that they could connect with, and that's important to them. And it's a great experience singing all of the old classic hymns. And I always leave refreshed, and it's always a good experience.